Good evening, folks, ladies and gentlemen. How are
Cheers
you?
to
Welcome to the Shit Show with our good friend Bernie Broderick, the illustrious speaker god designer from hell. I'm Vince Edwards from the Backstage Pass, Death by Loadout, and of course Sound Image Productions. Bernie, they tell me you used to work with Adamson and L Acoustics and EAW.
I got my
You're that
Adamson-
guy. You're wearing your
Adamson shirt.
swag. Yeah, Jeremiah's gonna like that very much. It's gonna make Jeremiah very happy.
There was a
Maybe
time
both.
when I couldn't wear anybody else's T-shirts. You see?
Yeah, and now?
Yeah. I had to wear just the one I worked for, and now I got all these shirts: my Clare Brothers shirts, my Adamson shirts, and all this stuff, and they're all perfectly preserved.
Well, you've kind of made the rounds. There's no doubt about that. So
Kinda
I
made the
suspect
rounds.
your swag collection is, pretty friggin' great. Well, good to know. Hey, listen, we do that thing where we open up and talk about the Corona thing, and
Still out there.
yeah, I've heard word on the street, and I'm super over it. And so we're just gonna say, hey, there's coronavirus in the air.
Yep.
Maybe you assholes should stay home. That would be really a good idea.
Yeah.
Regardless.
It's fucking with my highway time.
Yeah, this one, it's starting to interfere with his traffic
Yep.
jams and hours. Vern, how was your week?
Good. Was down working with my client there this morning. Spent a good 4 or 5 hours down there on this big project, which I can't talk about yet. But
The integration project.
integration project, yeah, and
Speakers you designed and built yourself.
yeah, there's 60 of them, 660 speakers that I
Impressive.
designed, and 40 of them have already been installed. So we're gonna keep going.
But we're going to tell them one day who this is for and what.
Yeah, we're gonna get him
Maybe
on.
we'll have him on the show.
We're gonna have him on the show. You'll be surprised.
Make him
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
He's
for
a
real.
special
Yeah.
guy. And
Yeah. So I'm really happy about that.
I also noticed there's a big, I don't know, what is that? Oh, I'm looking at
My
it's
thing?
your Claire, was it a Claire 12 a.m. wedge you
Claire-
got there? What's
yeah,
going on
yeah.
with that?
Let me show you. Well,
got
if you
one of your little
remember,
projects you're doing?
yeah. Well, actually, I think it's a project we're all gonna do together.
Oh, I would like that very much.
So a couple of years ago, we did this big project with a sound system called the Green Monster Project, and we presented it at LDI, and
a
we
beautiful
had
thing.
Scoville and Def Leppard, and we had all kinds of help on it. And so I decided we might as well kick in another one. So this is going to be my new hot rod project for my company, Truth and Audio, and I acquired 7 Claire 12 AMs from Dave Ratt,
Okay.
and apparently they all came out of the Roxy.
Oh
so
man, history if they could talk, huh?
yeah, well, there's a lot of bacteria,
Yeah.
in this day of
You'll never be able to
coronavirus.
sand
Yeah.
off, that's right.
So this is the first one. So I've stripped it down, and I thought it would be fun. I'll shoot it on video segments though. Like I won't do it live on the show. It's just stupid.
Kind of show the progress of the.
Yeah. So I'll show the progress.
retro.
So for anybody who doesn't know what a hot rod project is, I'll just say that what we've done in the past and what we'll continue to do is take iconic pieces of equipment,
Okay.
old equipment, and basically infuse it with all modern technology. So taking the same, it's like a resto mod, right, for a car. You take an old Chevelle or something, and you put a brand new crate engine, all modern electronics and everything. So that's kind of the same deal that I do with these things. So I take an old box, make it look new again, and then load it up with the best the industry has to offer, whether it's speakers, amplifiers. There's an amp here that I've been working on.
So have you decided this is going to be powered or passive? What
We're
are we
not
doing?
sure yet. There's 2 ways to go. Either we're going to self-power and process, or I also have the original Claire Carver amps. And one of the ideas that I had was to actually embed DSP into the amplifiers, because you can get the DSP separately and Dante separately, so you can implant that stuff into the amplifier just after the inputs, and then so you could basically turn a 30-year-old amplifier into a modern DSP-driven amp.
That would be a special
So-
piece of equipment.
So we're leaning more towards that, because then that keeps the Carver Claire amps with the Claire 12 amps, keeps it all together the way it was, and except that it's designed to peel paint.
It's going to push back some skin on some faces.
Yeah, because it's an iconic shape. I've got 7. I think I'm going to get another one, so I'm going to have 8 of them. And if we're all lucky enough, we'll get back to doing business again, and we'll put these out on some shows, and we'll really get some real world feedback. So if you got any ideas out there in YouTube land, now's your time to start
Send it in.
sending them in, and we'll definitely take a look at it. So here's number 1 of 8, I think is the good round number.
Well, it sounds like an exciting project. We'll look forward to the updates as it goes forward and to see the progress. And, of course,
you.
the final product when you're done.
Thank you, my brother. And speaking of badassery,
We have it in the house tonight. You know, in our ongoing quest to bring you the best and the brightest, we're keeping in the big dog category. Tonight we have a very special guest for you. Tonight we go wide, my friend. We have brought to you Mr. Joe Victoria, the legend, the man, the living God.
Don't talk me up too much.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, you know, I can do this, guys. You know,
You
I
are
fawn
a
over my guests, but
master.
this young man, he has worked for Madonna, for Rolling Stones. He's filmed some of the best, biggest concerts, Metallica routinely over and over, Aerosmith. He's really one of the top guys in the game, and we're really, really excited to have you.
Yeah, man.
Joseph,
I'm
how are
honored.
you?
I'm honored,
Thanks for
guys.
coming
on.
I'm honored to be on this because I know there's a lot of audio talking. I'm a video guy, so
We're honored to have you. We're really honored to have you. How are you
Thank you.
weathering this? You and the family. How are you weathering this?
it's very strange times.
Isn't
It's
it?
strange times, man. I mean, not in our history, right?
No, sir.
Not in the history of rock and roll.
No.
Does stuff like this happen. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a hard reset, especially for our industry,
Yes.
the entertainment industry. I mean, either it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for us.
Well,
I
we
mean,
were
we
the
were
first
also-
ones out, and the last ones back. I'm pretty sure in the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all scaled to go large.
Yeah.
I think that's our biggest opening to that disaster, is that we are designed to go large scale.
Well, that's the thing. We're like the military.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I mean, we hit the ground running, and everybody knows the job. We're always happening, and that's why it's very strange for us not to be doing our thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, so it's very strange not to be working and hustling, and not thinking 3 months down the line, 4 months down the line. We're thinking about next week.
Next week, yeah.
And I mean, this last month, I mean, what a whirlwind, right? I mean, talk about,
Been nuts.
right? It's like
Yeah.
doing 6 in a row, 7 in a row,
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
And then-
it's just a blur.
Right
Yeah.
now, technically, my muscle memory, and I know your guys, is we're supposed to be pushing gear out right now, throwing up shows, and it just feels all kinds of wrong to not be doing that. I had, as we just spoke, I had the whole shop tuned up, ready to go for a new season, everything dealt with, and here we are. So,
Yeah.
what do you think the future holds?
Well, like I said, it's going to be very interesting. And all this downtime, I expect the equipment that I work with to be in top shape. All you rental houses out there, I mean,
Listen up.
we should not have any
If you
crap.
see one piece of fucking broken gear when I go out, you sons of bitches.
Everything
What
should be
the hell have you
shiny.
been
Yeah.
doing? Yeah,
there
that's
should be
right.
no rust, you
Yes,
know.
sir.
But
That
it's-
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but hopefully, it's going to be strange for us because I mean, I think just the whole concert experience. I mean, it really came back with all the festivals.
Yeah.
People really starting to go out and getting live entertainment, right?
Yes.
Really starting to respect live music, right? Appreciating it, and now it's just so. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's like, how are we going to go out and do that? Like, being a video guy in the rock and roll industry, I mean, we were last to the party, right? I mean, we were invented with the MTV generation,
Absolutely.
right? Because originally it was for sound, and I remember watching Led Zeppelin at Royal Albert Hall, and looking at the film, there were 3 or 4 lights. Look at it, just like 4 sconces.
seen it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a blue light, a red light, and maybe another blue light.
And
Indescript
magenta,
light.
yeah.
We don't know
And
what
that
color
was
it was.
it.
Yeah.
So lighting didn't really come until
Full circle, yeah, that's right, yeah.
early 80s, late 70s. And actually we did a really cool show. This was 2012 with Aerosmith Cosmo. He lit the whole thing old school, all par cans. It was awesome. No fancy movers.
Yeah.
He went old school. Just massive stainless steel par cans.
Yeah,
The
the old
rig was so
Tomcats, the old
hot.
Tomcats.
Yes.
Look
Yeah.
across the
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at the old
The
boxing
whole
lights.
thing-
We've got a
oh,
ton of
man.
them in the
And
back.
And the
That
motherfucker started to sweat again.
Oh, that's the thing. It was
Right?
heat.
That's it.
No LEDs, and we had to change it because the rig was so heavy,
Yeah, oh my
and
God.
it was so slow to put up,
Yeah.
and just the grid was just massive.
I mean, that's gorgeous, right? Like that's one of the things
beautiful.
that you've great. I'm glad you pulled that up. It's one of the things I miss, man. Like in audio, in staging, whatever. I mean, you go back, to like the '80s, and the PAs and the rigs were massive. They were like these juggernauts hanging over the stage.
Remember
Analog,
the
baby.
speakers were taller than me. I remember the
Oh,
Harbingers
yeah.
we used to work with in the 80s. We would roll them in on
huge.
2 wheels, and you
Huge.
couldn't see over the front. You needed a spotter.
Even the old Marshall stacks.
Yeah.
The old Marshalls.
Those ridiculous horns.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And then
amazing.
par cans forever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And dangerous as hell.
And dangerous as hell.
Dangerous. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you flew that stuff up on just scaffolding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I mean, this was
Yeah.
before staging was
Yeah.
invented. I mean, that's
And
the thing.
nobody said
Or
this is
OSHA
heavy.
came around. Yeah, right. No, because we didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. Amps were ridiculous. Everything was heavier.
Oh,
It's, you know,
scary.
It's the
Yeah.
endless, it's an iconic thing.
So those big shows back in the day, I mean, and that's how I started. You asked me how I started. It's like
Yes, sir.
I started from one of the most iconic video companies, Nocturne,
Okay.
because San Francisco Bay Area.
Sure.
You know, it was Journey, and Neil Schon. Basically, it was Neil Schoen's money and Herbie Herbert's
Good
his
old
manager.
Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie.
Oh, boy.
They were the first ones to do stadiums, and it was like, hey, let's bring video to the stadiums.
So that was new then? Like that was a new.
That was the big deal because it was
We were
Journey. You
talking
could
like
watch the great the
early
old
80s.
documentary. You ever see the documentary about Journey?
I've seen a bunch, man.
No, the NFL. Yeah, the NFL films.
Okay.
Did the documentary about Journey. It was like,
Wow.
with the same guy's voice. You got to check it out. It's on YouTube. It's pretty cool. And I was like, Journey.
The guy, I know the name
1979.
of the guy with the,
yeah.
that
The voice.
here at the stadium.
Yeah, here at the stadium.
He doesn't know anything
velvet
about
leather
music.
voice. Yeah,
And,
he's
That's
music.
that dude.
No, but
Yeah.
you got the voice. So, I mean, what more do you need? I mean, trust me, it works for me.
These
Yeah.
musical people that these people do
Yeah.
things.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's great.
Oh,
so
that's
a
funny.
bunch of guys are in there. So, but anyway, so that's how it started for video for rock and roll. One of the big rock and roll shows was Journey deciding to bring video to the stadium so people can see more. Because it was about the music. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
at that
it's- and it still is about the music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like people who want to do films. It's like it's not about the cranes and the car chases. It's about the script. So it's about the music. But I came in post MTV
Right.
pop stars. My first big pop star was like Mariah Carey. Everybody wants to see the outfit change. Everybody wants to see
That's right.
what she's wearing. And this is how video came to be because you know what they say, more trucks, less talent. Right?
Yeah, but you guys definitely kind of upped the game. I mean, for a while there, we had like you said, we were kind of out front, and we had our own little special place. And as long as we brought it big and loud, the audience roared, and the band was on. It was good. But as MTV came into the picture, you had to start bringing in scenic and start bringing in all these different departments, which we spoke to a little bit before the show about the critical nature of, when you're doing these big shows, how important it is to work together. Have you had any experiences in the industry where, stuff just kind of started going bad at a show and you have a thing where you had to pull together and make it happen?
Yeah, it's, actually, that's the thing. I mean, there's, rock and roll or live music, right? I
Sure.
mean, there's two parts. There's the theatrical part now, right?
Yeah.
There's a choreographed show, and then there's still like guys that just go out and sing.
Like my old Tom Petty tours.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, no, stuff will go down. Like 2000, I think it was 2004. We were doing with Madonna. She had this big space ball that would come
remember
down.
that.
The Death Star would come down.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it would open up like this. And it was made, they must have spent like $1 million making this ball because it had all this armatures. It had LED lights before LED lights were really thing. And it would
Fashionable,
come
sure.
down from the ceiling and open up like the Death Star, and she would walk out
To reveal, yeah.
to reveal. And,
Yeah.
everyone always thought that she was just up there, but, they
Yeah.
snuck her down from
Of
underneath,
course, of
obviously.
course. Yeah.
But we're in Horsens, Denmark. Big show. I mean, it's 110,000 people.
Yeah.
They shut the whole
Massive.
massive
Yeah.
festival, and so every town from all around is there, and the ball is not working. It's not opening and
Spinal
closing.
tap.
It's a
Spinal
total
tap.
spinal
Total
tap.
spinal tap.
The cocoon that will not
Total
open.
spinal. It was funny. So you had
yeah.
the carps, Hydro out there. Hydro was the lead carp.
Yeah.
And they are just banging on this, 100,000 people.
Spinal tap.
And they're
Oh,
banging
man.
on this ball. I mean, the gig's up already. You're seeing these guys work on this freaking massive space ball in the middle of downstage, and
That's
they're
so
just
good.
banging. And she even had her rabbi come out and start blessing the thing. So the poor carps are banging on this thing. You have a rabbi trying to bless this damn ball.
That's awesome. That is
You know,
so good.
how long do we hold the doors? But obviously they got it working. That was the only time, and they sent it up in the air, and it worked. But
Somebody got fired.
no one got fired because
No.
I mean, it's electronics. It's
Yeah, it's
armatures. I mean, that's the thing.
complexity.
Lot of things,
Yeah.
a lot of places where
Lot of-
something could
yeah.
fail, and it just needs one. And
Oh, man.
yeah, the ball doesn't open.
Yeah.
She was standing there inside that ball going Spinal Tap.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Awesome
perfect.
Spinal Tap. So, yeah.
That is absolutely perfect. I know. What are you doing to keep yourself? You look fit now. I know. I've got the Corona 19 pounds thing.
Oh, I do
And I
too.
think and remember out there, the camera adds 10 pounds, so I'm looking about 29 over right now. But how are you staying so fit? I know you enjoy surfing and bicycling.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
what's your secret?
Well, no, the secret is, I've gained actually. And actually, my buddy Charlie got me a 10-speed, 10-speed. I'm dating myself, but a road bike.
500
and-
speed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's more than
2020.
10 speeds now,
Modern
yeah.
Yeah, it's
deal
2020,
Yeah,
yeah.
road bike, and
Yeah.
I started jamming on this and really pushing and going all around the city. And it's great because there's no traffic.
Yeah.
Right, everyone's home, so flying around the city. But I pushed it too hard, hurt my back, and all of that time, all of that work. Now just I haven't been able to get back on, so it's a bummer. But
You're struggling now. Your back's got issues now.
no, not right now. I mean, I just got over it, so I'm happy. So yeah, daily walk, and it's hard not to, it's just like when we're working, when we're on the road. What do? Either you sleep or you eat.
Yeah.
Let's go to catering.
Yeah.
Where's craft services? And that's the problem. It's the same now for us, right? We're in the living room, get
Right.
something to eat.
Yeah. Right.
There's nothing else to do. I mean, it's the same with the film industry. It's the same thing too.
Yeah.
If you're not working, you're at the craft service table. Eating,
Right.
and so that's a problem. You know what? The road. We got 2 shows canceled on us, and Vince was saying the week before. Literally, the week before we were supposed to get our tickets to go South America. I should be finishing South America right now with Metallica. It's like just gone, disappeared, gone away
Overnight.
overnight.
Overnight. I
and-
was mortified. I mean, I thought it was some kind of a bad joke in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I saw a couple of things cancel, and then I started to see the big dogs going down.
Yeah.
Like Coachella and Burning Man and and all these.
Well, I think when I saw Coachella go down, I knew it was on.
Oh,
Yeah. So they pushed it right to the last minute. They were, I think they rescheduled for October, and even now, I think that's very optimistic.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what this does to our industry, because the live event. I mean, live. People are in there packed. I mean, you'll see, especially in South America, Europe. I mean, there's no, the security guys always, make pressure breaks, but stadiums and places, Coachella, people are just on top of each other.
That's the whole. That's the whole experience.
That's the whole
That's right.
experience. So now are we going to look like a bunch of lined up, bowling pins 6 feet away? You can't.
All soldiers,
dance.
like, putting your arms out to make sure you got your 6 feet,
Yeah,
you know?
it's going to look like
Don't come to my space,
a
man.
communist party freaking celebration.
Let's be honest, and I hate to. I want to be as optimistic as possible. I think I'm trying, but I don't think the average concert experience is going to take place for a minute. I don't know how we could ever govern that space, how we could enforce a social distancing, not create a potential.
Well, you know what?
Hazard.
I don't want to bore everybody with this because it's everywhere, right? It's on Facebook, it's in the news. So hopefully, it's going to be. I think the only way it's going to happen is if they find a cure.
Yeah.
Right. First has a cure. We have to flatten the curve. Obviously, I mean, it's nothing we don't know. But if you find a shot that will cure it or prevent it, that's the way. Because then it'll be like we could beat it.
I guess there was some recent good news that said something about a drug just yesterday, I believe, that said there's potential that this might be something that is access a vaccine.
Yeah.
And then it's something about 4 months out.
It's not Lysol, is it?
No.
Okay.
You're listening
No,
to
it's
the wrong
not
guy.
mainline.
Wrong station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No one's mainlining Lysol.
Yeah. And I guess it was some light cure, too, that I've heard of.
I
but,
just heard probe and I was interested.
Yeah. Were you in?
You had me at probe.
Yeah. Very good. So I know you have a connection to Hawaii. Tell me about it. What's going on with Hawaii?
So Hawaii is great. I grew up in Hawaii, military family, and it was so funny because in Hawaii, there's little brown people and big brown people.
Yes.
Just don't mess with the big brown people. You're okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and
right.
and it didn't. My dad was stationed there. My mom's father was stationed there. So the world was great. Beach right down. We literally be at the beach every other day. our world was small, you know, until you move out. And then my dad got stationed in Massachusetts. And then all of a sudden, culture shock.
Night and day, my
Yeah,
goodness.
snow, 4
Yeah.
seasons. You're like, whoa, what is this? But I was still on a base. So American bases, if you guys know anything about the military, American bases all around the world look the same. The
Yes.
buildings look the same.
Yes.
They use the same. So
Like arenas.
Yes. Boom. Very good. Right. And so you're sheltered still. And so there was only black people and white people on the base, really. I mean, there were
right.
still some brown people, but, you know, majority. And then, you know, it was so I didn't really get culture shock until I moved back to the Bay Area. And that's when it's all like, all of a sudden, you're Filipino. I'm like, I'm what? Yeah, you're Catholic too. And I'm like, I'm what? You know, like all of a sudden, like,
News to me.
culture shock.
Yeah.
No, I was in culture shock
All of a
because,
sudden, I'm a minority.
well, yeah, not even a minority. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
identity
so,
crisis.
yeah, so, but San Francisco, I mean, you know, going back to why we're here, opened me up. I'm an accidental roadie. I fell into this business accidentally because I started in film and television, and I started on the crane. But I met Bob Hartnett, which was one of Nocturne's core directors during the time of, you know, when video was first starting up. I think it was just like ScreenWorks and Nocturne. There weren't too many companies doing, you know, big video. I mean, I'm talking about, you know,
Ground floor
early
stuff.
80s.
Yeah.
And so Bob was one of the original. And Bob brought me on, and my first big gig was Mariah Carey, HBO in Hawaii.
That's a big
It's
damn
a big
gig.
deal, you know,
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
gig,
yeah.
you know, and you're like, you know, they're giving you money, they're flying you out. You're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is great. I want to do this all the time. You know, when you're a kid, it's
do
like
this for
awesome.
free, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
don't tell them that.
Well, yeah.
We say that, we just don't mean it.
yeah. So I accidentally fell into it by, you know, and again, you know, video now is a part of it, especially, you know, the big pop shows and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's a big monster, you know. But like me, I don't get on any show unless it's massive, right? Because,
Yeah.
like Metallica, for instance, when I first worked with Metallica, they didn't really like video. I mean, it was a necessary evil for them.
Right.
Sure.
But now they love it.
big part of the
because,
show.
Yeah, because it basically extends your audience, brings your audience. It really does bring your audience closer.
What
And you'll
year was that? Did you start with Metallica?
Well, I toured with them in 2007.
Okay.
And then just recently, I've been on
Started
the
up
last
again.
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. But you just saw their shift because they realized, whoa. And it's true, you know, it's just like any sporting event. You'll see people at, you know, watching a basketball game and they're watching the screens. They're not watching
Yeah.
what's in front of them.
Yeah,
You know?
I always thought that was a little nuts.
And it is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, you know, again, you know, there's people who go for good sound, right? You know, and it's the same with the video, it's the same with lighting. You know, and that's the thing. It's like the camaraderie of us roadies and working together, whether you hate each other or love somebody. I mean, we're in each other's face all the time, 24/7, months at a time. I mean, it's, you know, you're there in the foxholes.
That's right.
You know,
You better
at
learn
the
how to
end,
play nice.
in the mud,
Yeah.
in the rain. You know,
That's right.
digging. One great story is a guy named Craig. We called him Barry Craig. He was in charge of the barricades. We were in Milan. It was just pissing down rain. We're at a racetrack. We're at a racetrack parking lot. This is when we're doing the gig. The promoter, for some strangers, this is Metallica.
Wow.
We're doing a gig in the parking lot of a racetrack in Milan. And I mean, it's just mud, just raining down mud. And poor Craig, one-man department, right? Bunch of guys. Everyone's packed up, right? He's going through, and he's just like a little tip of silver out of the mud. And he's going down and pulling out barricades
Oh, my
out
God.
of the mud all by himself.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, and you know,
Holy.
and again, Metallica shows are not small. They're
No,
massive.
yeah.
You know, minimum 50, 60. It's like we start at 60,000.
Sure.
You know, so there's always a mid audience a pressure break. You know, you have
Right.
all these in and out. You know, so and then you have, you know, the inner circles and all of this. So there's a lot of.
Is there still a mosh
Yeah.
pit?
Okay, yeah,
Do they
huh?
still have a mosh pit?
Yeah, they do.
do?
Actually, it was really cool. They had a big downstage use. This is just for the stadiums.
Right.
Big downstage use. So they had this massive mosh pit. That was great.
That's
you know, because
fantastic.
the Metallica guys are great, man. They, you know, even like when I met them a long time ago, they were always just like
Solid, yeah.
solid people.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. It's like, you know, working in this business, you would think the people who are rock stars,
Yeah.
they don't act like rock stars. I
No.
mean, number one, my first day with the Stones, everybody, Mick, you know, they all came down. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for being here.
Right.
Like,
Very important moment. That's very. I always
Yes.
thought that the artists that do that, because there's a few that don't.
that exactly.
And but the artists that do that, it makes perfect sense. You want us on your side. You want us rooting for you. We want us doing your best work. And a little acknowledgement goes a lot of way.
It goes a lot
does.
of way. And
Yeah.
well, true professionalism.
Yes,
Yeah. Yes.
it's a team event.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
team
and
effort.
thank you very much.
Absolutely.
But it's the same with movie stars. The guys that show up and think, oh, they're great. You can make them look terrible if you want by messing with the lighting, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But they, guys like Mick Jagger, they could be rock stars, but they don't. But they're not. You don't expect, and you just feel, again, part of the team. It's a team thing. So. I don't know. I'm an accidental roadie. Again, they brought me in. I get to watch. It's like watching. The Teamsters. Like, how can you tell the kids at the playground which one's the kids' team?
The Teamsters kids.
Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
the one that's watching the other kids
every
playing.
single time.
They got
a way
the video
about 'em.
guys always
That's right.
get the worst of it.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks all we do is just point the camera, but there's a lot of gear obviously now.
Oh, yeah.
In this
For
digital
everybody.
age. Yeah, and you can see when a screen messes up, right?
Oh boy.
The
Yeah.
same thing if the sound goes down. You know it
You
right
know
away.
it. It's
You
no
know it.
less. It's no less fearful for
Yeah,
audio
yeah.
than it is for lighting or
Right.
anybody else.
But we're talking about this, right? I mean, you're saying, oh, the battle is, I mean, you weren't saying this, but, everyone says, oh, the battle's during the show. Yes, it's true, but if you prepare for that battle
Yeah. Right.
in the inn,
Right.
you won't have many battles to fight
Yeah.
during that battle.
There's always
The in and
almost
out.
always a little something that jumps off, and it's that it's kind of like getting shot at a little bit. It's the war reference. I think
but-
you're referring to the war reference.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But what do you learn when you're finally a veteran? You don't think about the in, you think about the out.
Oh, not just
Right?
that, but also
They're
stay
always
calm.
about the out.
Stay calm. Keep your head about you. That is probably the best.
Well, again,
lesson.
no screamers.
Yeah, yeah.
The best production managers,
Yeah.
best riggers, they're not screamers.
Right.
Right?
That makes them way more scary because like when because especially with the guys that have worked with riggers, these guys, man. I mean, if they raise their voice, that's the thing. That shit is going down. Like
guys that are quiet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bad
Yeah.
because this person who you've never heard raise his or
Right.
her voice is now all of a sudden losing their shit.
Right.
So
He's not crying wolf.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, it's
I'll back off into the nearest corner.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
Step up and sort
Same
it
with the
out
production
immediately.
managers. I don't know how production managers do their job, man. Like Chris Lamb, I work with Chris Lamb on a bunch of shows, and the first time, and this was the first time any big show went into Moscow. I mean, we're talking about massive. So this was Moscow, 2003. We're bringing Madonna to Moscow, and this is like when Live Nation just first established, presence there, and they trucked everything in from I think Iceland or whatever, or Finland. And it's like, how do you get all of these trucks, all of this gear? And we're talking about hundreds of trucks, right? Because it's a big pop show.
Yeah.
We had 3 grids, right? Master grid, the lighting, special effects grid, the space ball, all of this crap. And how do you get this stuff all there, not stolen,
Yeah, not
showing
stripped
up on
down
time?
to its last bolt.
You know how you do that?
Bribes.
You see guys walking with cases of money.
That's
and
right.
Wait, here's
Bribes.
another thing.
Absolutely.
You
That's
ask
how you play
the
Eastern
merch guy,
Europe.
what are you
Yeah.
doing? Oh, I'm bringing you these T-shirts. What do they need the T-shirts for? The border.
Yeah,
The
that's
border.
right.
But could you imagine being the guy, the production manager that
Yeah.
says, "Hey, I'm bringing in 120 trucks
Yeah.
with all of these drivers. You don't know their backgrounds, all of this equipment. You know what's in there over a border that doesn't honor a carnet.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you get all the equipment, and make sure it's there and working? And what happens if shit doesn't work?
Right.
Oh man, yeah, it is.
Who do you
tough.
turn
Running
to?
back
Who do
to
you
the
turn
shop
to?
on that one.
You don't
Yeah.
pick up. There's nobody
Yeah.
to pick up the
Yeah.
phone and
Right.
say, "Bro,
There's
I need a
FedEx
bailout."
some, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, again, it's good pre-planning.
Well, that's what we call that the get out of jail equipment. So every time I send out something to something super important, you know,
Yeah.
the big corporates, the big stadium stuff, we make
Double up.
sure that we throw in
There's some
extras.
spares,
So
yeah.
when something jumps off, we don't have to count on anybody to be running around. We just get over to that case. It's the
Yep.
get out of jail case and fix it.
Because all electronics is voodoo.
Yes, all of it.
But as you get fancier, as i.e. the space ball,
Yeah.
if you only got one, same thing with we just finished Beyonce, and they had this massive. Now I don't want to over exaggerate, but I think this thing was like maybe about 3 or 4 tons. This bridge that would come out of stage and go down stage about.
You're talking
50
Coachella Beyonce.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I
but
remember that. That
for
was
the tour
impressive.
right after Coachella.
Yeah.
They made these, and they originally had these 2 massive bridges, and they were massive. I mean, again, they weighed about 2 or 3 tons each, and we were going to be playing stadiums during the fall because it was right after. Well, it was like summer into fall.
Sure.
Because it was right after Coachella. On ground, and so these things, if you had like they were saying a 0.3 millimeter deviation on level, they would stop working.
Wow.
And it's like, so they had these massive things that would have to come out of the stage and move. Well, they were so heavy that they couldn't move one of them, so they scrapped one and they took all the motors from that one and put it on this one massive thing. And it was so heavy that they could only have her and 7 dancers on it at a time, because after all the gack is on it, the lighting and all
Yeah.
this, it wouldn't move down these big railroad tracks.
My
And it's
God.
exactly. So if you have a one-off thing like this, because it did bite us in the butt
Yeah.
in Poland,
Uh,
it got stuck up. Again, Spinal Tap. So she's up in the air, and luckily it was the last song, but now the bridge won't come down for her to come down, and she's in the designer
sitting in-
dress with the big heels, and it's
boy.
dark, and people are looking up at her, and it's like,
Show
what's going?
ends. She's
Show
sitting in the
ends.
middle of
Everyone's
it.
freaking out.
Welcome to
'cause
live
Lady
rock
B's-
and roll.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how
So
that goes.
it does happen, but luckily it was at the last song. But again, when you get more into like flying the star around and explosions and all of this, I mean, yeah, it's gonna.
I think we just get we get to a point where we feel safe in our production work, and we gotta push the envelope.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get, you,
Oh,
you
yeah,
do-
oh, definitely.
You know
Well,
what I
it's
mean?
top.
It's the designers.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the-
Yeah.
'cause they're shooting from their imagination.
Yeah, yeah.
The actual application of it comes down to us.
Yeah.
And so that it's I think that many designers, if they actually went out and built one of their creations, they probably would design differently. It
Yeah.
seems to my idea.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I don't think we'll ever top ourselves.
No.
That's the thing. I mean, it's just like films, right? They're gonna reinvent them.
Yeah.
And put a little different twist on them.
Sure.
But anybody that's pushing for that concert, I mean, everybody's gonna be. I mean, think about it when we actually start work again. I mean, it's going to be nonstop. People are now going to be fighting for crews,
Yeah, that's right.
fighting for equipment, because everything's going to be stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, we should enjoy our time, but I didn't think it's going to be. They're talking about another year for us.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I
which
hope
is
not.
scary.
Yeah,
is scary.
Yeah, it's certainly not.
So that's the thing. But when it does start, it's going to be gangbusters.
Let's
You'll be-
hope, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
fingers crossed, really.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a world thing like this since World War II.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Well,
Something that
remember-
stopped the world.
Remember,
Right.
9/11 was a similar.
Oh, this is true. This is true.
There
Yes.
was a pause there.
But they didn't shut down the whole world.
No, absolutely not. It was largely the fear in America at the
Yes,
time. But
yes.
pretty rapidly we recovered from that. This is global. This is different, and it's affecting us all. And from your mouth to God's ears, do we get back soon as we can, and people can feel comfortable and safe and come? I'm sure there'll be Jones and kind of really anticipating getting out and about amongst people, that concert experience that you can only have by going to one. And when we're all ready together, I know us on the other side of the stage will be ready to do it. All the gear's
Absolutely.
ready.
Oh, yeah,
We're excited
sure.
to get back to work.
Yeah, and could you imagine all the great music that's coming out of this? Because all the artists are just locked
Everybody's
up,
home,
writing their
everybody's-
butts
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to want to go out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we got cabin fever like crazy. Like I said, it's going to be gangbusters. So it's going to be interesting though, because again, you have the pop money only goes this far, the rock and roll money,
That's right. Well, and
the
how the-
retro money. I'm talking about the concert goer, right?
Right.
Because literally the last 10 years has been really about the festivals.
Right.
That's true.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, everyone was pushing festivals, but literally the festivals have finally kind of
Plateaued.
right?
Yeah.
But it's great for new artists. That was a great thing. Like when I worked festivals, it was so awesome to meet these great artists that were just
Up
you
and
know, and you see them
comers,
just making the circuits, but they were. It was just awesome.
You
to
knew that
hear.
they were going to be on the big.
Because you know it's there's not a lot of sampling going on on these stages. You know,
Right.
you know, and the festival, you know, the EDMs, they have their own little festivals, which is great. But the music festivals, it was great to see. Yeah, you'd have the big headliners come in, but it was about the supporting guys. Man, I've watched so many great bands, and it's like again, not you get back down to the music. No lighting, you know, it's just bright daylight, and it's just about the music.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, wow, this
Well,
is
it's
cool.
good that you. It's good that you keep that inside you. You know that it is about the music, because with all the
appreciation of
technology
it,
that we have to work with, it can easily make. You know, like you hear the jokes they say. You know, the props, right? The band is the prop, or the artist is the prop, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's almost like a pathway.
You know what
to,
the eating props are?
Yeah.
The eating props are the dancers.
The dancers.
We call them the locusts. Because they would come in, boy. It's like
Just lay
all the-
waste to craft services.
craft service, yeah, like
just
the locusts. You know, about
dust,
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's, okay, the locusts. You better get your food now because once they
Carve it
come in,
up.
because they don't pay them nothing, right? These poor
Well, and
dancers.
they're burning a lot of calories.
They burn a lot of calories.
You know.
They're young, and those. You're just like, oh my god.
Are these free too?
But those are the eating props. Yeah.
The eating
great.
props.
That's great.
Speaking of props,
Yes,
we
sir.
gotta send out a couple of props.
You're right. Yeah. You know, we couldn't be here without the wonderful people at Sound Image Productions and Southern California Sound Image. Dave Shadone, the big dog, the big dog, and my lovely, wonderful brother. George Edwards has given us permission in the building to do this. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and
George.
our support from our business partners and good friends at LSV.
Yes.
Can't say enough about John Rigney and his kindness and generosity. Thank you, John. We were able to film this with some degree of quality because of his contribution with his camera gear.
Yeah.
And, you know, we really appreciate Joe Victoria coming out to see us today. Joseph,
man.
that's so good. You know, I got love for you, baby. And
Me
I
too, brother.
appreciate you, my friend. Let's just go like this because I can't not touch you.
Here's my new one.
There you go.
He's gonna
here's
Spock you.
See, the Hawaiians have been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
right.
There you
Hawaiians
go.
have
Live
their thing
long and
locked on.
prosper. Right?
Well-
We hope you folks have enjoyed our show. Joe, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Oh yeah, you know it's so funny. It's like, you know, roadies. We're all roadies. We could sit around and tell stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Forever. I figure like we didn't even scratch the surface. I mean, I had some
Isn't this
crazy
weird
stories.
to have a confined space? Because you're right, we just do this for hours
do this
and,
all day, yeah.
and not even scratch the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah.
Oh yeah, just yeah. So but you know, it's fun just even thinking about work.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, thinking
Yeah.
about. But you know, when you're out there, and again, when you're out there on the road, it's a time warp. I mean, this is you know, I'm sure a lot of guys feel this way, right? We go away and we work, and we leave our families behind and our friends behind. They're doing their things. You know, their world is revolving, but ours stays the same every day.
That's right.
You know, and it's really weird. So we're in a time warp. It's like not Rumpelstiltskin, but
It's Groundhog Day.
yeah, Groundhog Day.
That's
for us.
right. That's
So you
right.
know, everything's the same. So it's kind of cool for us being able to reconnect with home,
Sure.
our families, right? I mean, everybody has forced family time now.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Don't
You
you
still
think
pack your
there's some
suitcase
upset
every
wives,
week or so to unpack it again?
though? Mine's right by the door.
That's the
It's
thing. Yeah,
ready
yeah,
when
yeah.
You know, just green light me, I'm out.
Or
Yeah,
does your wife bring your suitcase in for
Yeah,
you to
yeah,
pack every once in a while?
Well, hopefully it'll be sooner than later. But man, yeah, it's very strange times for us. I mean, you know, yeah, you know, I mean, think about all of those hotels are sitting empty.
Oh, man.
Those planes sitting empty, and we're just sitting here.
Yeah.
You know, so but when it starts, I think it's gonna be gangbusters.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like
too.
that attitude.
Yeah,
I like
me
I like
too.
the
I
belief
couldn't-
Oh,
that
it's gonna be
gonna be
gangbusters.
gangbusters.
It's just a matter of time when it's gonna. So we're gonna. I don't know. I think I'm gonna pick weeds for a year before I get to do what I
Oh,
used
no,
to
no,
do.
take that back. I can only have a picking weeds for, say, the next 4 to 5 months.
Yeah,
we're going back
God.
out there. We're going to come
Yeah.
out in the winter or something. I'm not sure what's going to actually
Well,
happen,
I
but we'll
think-
be ready.
A
But
cure will make it go fast.
While you're sitting on your downtime, I need you to ponder this question day after day after day. Did video really kill the radio star?
Did that happen?
That's all I want to know.
He would have been the witness.
It
to that.
I think it enhanced the radio star, because
Except for Billy Squire.
He's not easy to look
It
at.
killed him. Video, well, MTV video, that is.
because I mean, basically, I think the great thing about videos, everything is documented now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because we look at old footage. Speaking of like, I just tell Jerry Stickles. I don't know if you know Jerry Stickles, but he's an old production manager. He was Jimi Hendrix is one of Jimi Hendrix's original road managers. He brought us an old. We were sitting at sitting around one day. He says, "Gentlemen, could you please play this tape?" And he gave us an old VHS tape, and it was the Isle of Man. It was Jimmy, and it was him handing guitars to Jimmy.
Wow.
This is Jerry Stickles. I mean,
Wow.
this guy's legend upon legend. He's the one that
Yeah.
gave a start to a bunch of people, especially he was an old production manager, but we love him because he took care of us and Chris Lamb, and started kind of that's where I know him from, and.
I always thought Penny Baker was kind of, with the Monterey Jazz, Monterey,
Yeah,
the
Jazz
original,
Festival.
yeah, plus the Monterey, what the hell was that thing? Pop Festival.
Pop,
that was
yeah.
what 67, and catching. Also, he did the Woodstock, and that I felt like that was a really good place to kind of a template for what you guys have become, which is, I think. You couldn't have the concert experience without the video side of it. Now
That's the thing. So going back to that, yes. So those images. Seeing that stuff, I mean, that's the only way it takes us back. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot. Of course, there's going to be a lot of film, a lot of video. But it's great because everything is documented now. You could literally see young bands rise or fall, right, in front of your eyes. I mean, you have the music, which is always going to be there.
Yeah.
But the visuals now, because, I mean, again, technology. I mean, look, we could pull up any show we want right now on YouTube.
Yes.
From the '60s, that was documented.
Right.
But '80s, '90s, now almost every show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have like reams and reams and reams of history just captured.
I mean, look what happened with what was it? Warner Brothers. All of those masters burned down. Was it?
Oh yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
The nitrate
all those
film.
masters.
Yeah. All those masters. So that's the thing. I mean,
I think
with
it
the
was
cloud,
Sony
it's
archive,
everywhere.
actually.
Yeah. It was one of those
It
archives.
was
I don't know.
ridiculous. So
Yeah. Pretty bad. So, yes, video definitely enhanced the Radio Star.
Yeah.
You didn't kill it.
Except Billy Squire.
He's Canadian. He's
Not the
gonna-
live video. I'm talking
What
about
the hell?
MTV. You don't remember that? What was that video he did? He did the dance thing with his little.
Bruce had a moment with that too.
Did he?
Courtney Cox. That's what broke her out.
Yeah,
Was,
yeah,
Remember
yeah,
Courtney
yeah.
Cox, and she gets on the stage, and they did a little shuffle thing.
Yeah, but
It's like anything. You look back. I look at pictures of me in the '80s, like, what the hell was I thinking? That with that outfit and that hair. So I guess that's just how that goes. But,
Think about that. How long is the '80s? Think about how many years is it now?
I
It's
know.
20
Be gentle.
40,
Be gentle.
40.
It's 35 years.
It's a lot.
it's 150
You remember when we used
years.
to make fun of those
Keith
poppers
Richards'
from the
time.
'50s?
Oh my God!
I know.
You blink, and all of a sudden you're old. That's what happened to me. I just all of a
Man.
sudden, wow. Real quickly, we're gonna close the show, but could we possibly talk you into talking John Fukushima and you two coming back to the show? I know you guys are partners, and he considers you a mentor and a good friend. I consider both of you good friends.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I would
You
love
are a good friend.
to hear your stories together.
Yeah.
And so if you could yell out to him for us on that, and we could schedule something in the near future, that would be wonderful. I know we've barely scratched the surface, but the surface we have scratched, we thank you for.
Oh, good,
your
yeah.
insights, your company. We love you, buddy, and thank you for showing
Cheers,
up
brother.
on the show.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
folks out there. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Me and Bernie Broderick appreciate your kind attention, and
Yes.
we will see you next week. We were talking about production managers on a quick closing note. Next week, we're going to have a big dog in here. Production managers are critical to what we do and make all the departments come together and let you see a show seamlessly. And so we're bringing in Doug Murray, one of the top guys, a jet setting fool. He just goes from here to there, making good things happen for many, many people. We're going to bring him in next Thursday. He's going to be our guest. We hope you tune in. Until then, good night from the Shit Show. Thank you.
Good night.
Aloha.